Hello, this is Claire, and I am presenting my final design project for this subject. I named my project the Spongy Desert, and it's basically about take the advantage of stormwater collection and solve drought problem in the desert, which is the site I have researched on. And this is my catalog. So first part, introduction. I will address the issue and call back on the site analysis that we have done in the previous assignment. So the mainly disaster, the emergency situation we faced is about drought, which also caused the wildfire and the flood. So the drought is caused by the natural climate of the site, and it eventually lead to lack of water and food source. And as for the flood, is one of the is the most important emergency situation that our site is facing. It is caused by sudden storm, which combined with the soil erosion. So they make the drainage become really fast, but the soil doesn't really absorb the water. So the water just get together and form the flood. And it's also caused by the undercurrent river, which means the underground river. So when it's raining, the water level rise and the flood happens. And it's also caused by the low altitude of the residential area, which I'll be talk about it in the site analysis. There is also a whole framework, so the methodology, how we are going to solve this issue we are facing. So the four mainly issue existing based on the previous analysis is the fast drainage speed, lack of water and food source, rising water level, and low-lying water. So the main two methods that I come up with is the plantation, which could solve the first two, and the underground water storage, which could solve the stormwater stuff. And the ideal solution, which combine these two, is like the water and vegetation landscape. And this is the detail of the solution idea. The precedent I have is named Edinburgh Rain Garden. It is named Edinburgh, but it's actually located in Melbourne, which had a similar situation, similar geographical feature and climate with compared to our site. So in Melbourne, it also gets really drought like most of the year and really hot. However, in February and January, it rains a lot and always have many flood happening. So what the designer has come up with this project is that they have a on this second part, they have a underground water storage, and then they have these plantations to purify the stormwater storage here. And then they have these little steel rail that connect the surcharge pump and deliver the storage water to the plantations. You can see the steel rail goes all over the whole from the whole area. So they collect the storm water and water the plantations when the weather gets really dry. Site analysis. So this is a topographical map that I have made up based on the data I found online. And you can see that the Kura community, which is our site, is right at the very bottom of the mountain. So it's right at the bottom of the slope, which caused the flood because when the storm happens, the water will go through the slope and just flood happens in the community. This is like modeling. I'm modeling them to make this feature like more obvious. And this is like a near photo of the ratio of the slope next to the community. Iteration and the design process. So I summarize the precedents and research on the idea called the spongy city, which is about collecting the stormwater, purify them, and reuse the stormwater for during the drought season. And this is a section that I've drawn to show the whole process of collecting the storm water and purify them with the root of plantations, and which also help to reduce the soil erosion. And the first arrangement I come up with is to get plantations right next to the bottom of the slope and a pond over here, which could like immerse the underground water so that it doesn't flood so much. However, for this one, I think if the pond is next to the village so close, when the water level goes up, it still have the opportunity to flood the whole community. So for the second arrangement, I came up with this linear landscape stuff, and with a creek next to it, it's a little bit not so obvious. It's better than the pond idea. However, consider the other situation we are facing, which is the wildfire in the drought season. This linear landscape structure could actually lead the wildfire directly into the community. So combine those two, and with the issue consideration, I came up with my third idea, which is form a desert crop all over the bottom of the slope, and build up a reservoir, so it's like a collection of water far away from the village. And when the flood happened, the plantations right next to the bottom of the slope will slow down the drainage and also help to absorb the drainage. And because the plants are there, the roots help to hold the soil to prevent soil erosion. So the drainage can actually go down deep into the soil instead of flowing up above the ground. And when the drainage go under the ground, they can go to the underground river, the undercurrent river, and then when the water level raise, it will emerge through this pond, the reservoir, so it doesn't go randomly and flood the village. As for the wildfire, because I had research on one of the traditional ways that the Quebec community have dealt with the wildfire is that they burn several areas of some particular area of towns, so that when the wildfire happens, the fire cannot go over to their community because there is already no plantations. They have burned the plantations themselves. And so similar to this situation, we can burn the plantations before the wildfire season happens. So there's a natural defense to the wildfire. As for the plantations growing here, and I found that there is actually kind of desert rice that have already successful grow in Dubai, which have a similar climate and geographical feature to the Quebec community. They are both very hot and very dry, but this kind of new developed rice can grow successfully in Dubai. So why don't we try them in this desert too? Material analysis. So these are very abstract model that I have built based on the spongy idea. So at the very top is the residential area and the sandy ground, and we have the plantations which root help to reduce hold the soil, and then we have layers of filtration to filter the impurities in the drainage in the stormwater. And then at the bottom of the filtration layers, we have the active carbon layer, which could help to observe the tiny impurities. And then the water goes to the underground water storage. And at the bottom of the water storage, there is a permeable mesh, which allowed the water in the storage could drain very slow, but still drain into the soil land, which is the sand. And hopefully this could help the drought sandy soil to absorb water, to get tolerate to the water and get to observe the water and also refine the soil condition. Cooperation organization. So the three main parts that I think in the project that probably need to cooperate is the use of land, material, and construction. Use of land, because we are building at the operational residential area, so we are definitely going to negotiate with them. And also, I think that area, the land is not owned by anyone, so we are also likely to need to ask for permission from government to build our project there. As for the material, we have the organic one, which is the plantations, which usually breed in the lab and need the transport, need aeroplane to transport to the site. And for the construction material, they can just be transferred through road to reduce the cost. As for the construction engineering part, I would suggest to go to the professional construction teams to do the actual calculation of the material used and also the construction stuff. And this is an ideal picture rendering of the project. That is all of my presentation. Thank you.